Assalamu alaikum my dear friend. I am Sayyid Kashif Mahmood with a new video. In this video we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is biochemistry. So let's start from its introduction. First of all, what is a biochemistry? Before having the definition of this topic, let me tell you a very interesting story that is of our teacher. Once upon, someone asked our teacher that what is a biochemistry. So he told him that biochemistry is me and my wife. Now you may think that what does it mean? He said that I have done chemistry and my wife has done biology. So me and my wife is the combination, and that combination is biochemistry. So in simple we say that biochemistry is the combination of biology as well as chemistry. So now let's start from the definition of biochemistry. So we can easily define it like it is the study of biological molecule or biomolecule and the chemical reaction or biochemical reaction. It will be more better to write biochemical reaction. Now we have defined it like that biochemistry is the study of biological molecules, as well as in biochemistry we are also going to study about the chemical reactions that are taking place in a living body. Now let's discuss the biological molecule. What does it mean? It simply means that those biological molecules simply mean that those molecules which exist in a living body. Biological molecule or biomolecule are those molecules which are there inside the living body. So what we study regard these biological molecule in biochemistry. So those are protein, carbohydrates, lipids and nucleic acids. Like DNA and RNA. So these are basically those biological molecules. So now in biochemistry, what we are going to study about these molecules? So basically we are going to study about their composition and as well as their functions. Now let me tell you what does these two words mean. Composition mean that we are going to study about the quality of a compound or a molecule, and composition also include the quantity study of a compound or a molecule. So composition mean two things. One is quality and the another is quantity. Now let's discuss the meaning of these two words. What does quality mean and what does quantity mean? Let's suppose we are taking the example of water. We are having H2O. Try to focus on the symbols of an element. It should be in capital. If I write it like H2 and O with a smaller symbol, then it will not be water. Then it will be H20 rather than H2O. So it should be written in a capital letter. So now this H2O. Now let's discuss the composition of H2O. The quality of this H2 or water is that it is made of hydrogen and oxygen. So the quality mean that we are trying to focus from what kind of element those compound is made of, and quantity mean that how much we have hydrogen in this water and how much we have oxygen in this. So we are trying to focus on their ratios. So their ratios are that hydrogen is 2 and oxygen is 1. So this is 2:1. So in quantity we are dealing that how much element a compound contain, and in quality we are dealing that what kind of element the compound contain. So this is a simple mean of the composition. So when we are dealing with the composition of protein, so we will discuss from what the protein is made up of and how much quantity of this element is there in a protein or carbohydrate or lipid or nucleic acids. So this is simply mean composition. So in biochemistry we are dealing with the composition of a biological molecule. The second thing which we have written here, that is functions. Functions mean that what role does the protein play in our body, what role the carbohydrate have in our body, the lipids have in our body, and the nucleic acid have in our body. So all these things we will discuss these all topics in a very minute detail in the upcoming videos. So it was a short talk about the biological molecule, that what kind of thing we are dealing to study in the biochemistry regard these biological molecule. Now let's come to the biochemical processes. What kind of processes taking place in a living body that we are going to study in the biochemistry. So now biochemical reaction can be termed as metabolism. So what is metabolism? Metabolism can be defined in a simple way like that all biochemical processes that are going to take place in a living body is known as metabolism. So now let's try to explore it. Metabolism having two types. One is anabolism and the second type is catabolism. The anabolism is a constructive process while the catabolism is a destructive process. What does it mean? It means that in anabolism the smaller molecule will come together and will give you a larger molecule. So a simple example of this anabolism is photosynthesis. The best example is photosynthesis. Now let's discuss that how the photosynthesis is a constructive process. Photosynthesis, we having carbon dioxide and we also having water. I'm not going to mention that reaction. We will discuss about all those things in upcoming videos, but just to clear your concept about the constructive process, that's why I am going to write this in this way. So carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight as well as chlorophyll, the plants is going to give you the glucose as well as oxygen. Now let's trying to focus on these things. Carbon dioxide, it is a smaller molecule. Water is also a smaller molecule. These two smaller molecules, when they come together, they have given you the glucose, which is a little larger molecule. Now this is anabolism, a constructive process in which the smaller molecule like carbon dioxide and water are coming together and giving you a larger molecule, that is glucose. So this is a constructive process. Now let's come to the second type of the metabolism, that is catabolism. Catabolism is completely opposite of that of anabolism. As we have said that anabolism is a constructive process, so the opposite will be that catabolism will be a destructive process. So now let's discuss catabolism here, as we have given the example of photosynthesis in this case. So let's give the example of respiration and catabolism. So let's take the example here as respiration. So now let's discuss that how respiration is a destructive process. So before discussing that reaction, let's try to define the catabolism. Catabolism means that when the larger molecule are get broken down into smaller molecule, the process is known as catabolism. So let's trying to prove that, or let's trying to explore that. The respiration is completely opposite of this process. So let's try to reverse it. So we will having glucose, which is a larger molecule. This glucose in the presence of oxygen will get broken down into carbon dioxide, as well as water, and one thing more, and that is energy. So we are getting energy, and this energy we are using for many purposes, for our walking, for our talking, for swimming, for eating, for everything we need energy, and that energy comes from this process catabolism and respiration. So in biochemistry we are going to study about the biochemical processes. So this was a short and a very simplest definition of the biochemistry. So I hope it will be clear to all of you. Assalamu alaikum.